Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad you're here this Monday morning. Got a great week lined up, and folks, Christmas is right around the corner. Hope all of y'all bought me a good present by now. If not, you only got a short amount of time to get it. Okay, the weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center at the corner of Baldwin and Highway 77. We're looking at a good day today, a high of 68, and the low, believe it or not, only going to be 55 degrees. We got that south wind coming. It's blowing in some nice air. It's only coming about 5 or 6 miles per hour. The water temperature actually going up 1 degree to 63 degrees. Now, every Monday, we'd like to take a look at our Monday moon forecast and see what's coming on with our moon. Today is December the 15th, and we're exactly at a half moon today, and we're looking at it's waning on out, and we're going to have a new moon. Actually, on Christmas Eve, we're getting a new moon, okay? So we'll be ready for it then. Our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home and Cemetery. They're located here on 23rd Street, and their motto is when caring counts. Looking at a day's tide on December 15th, we're in neap tide, folks, hardly any movement at all. We do have a low right around 8 o'clock this morning and a high at 5:38, but we're looking at about a 0.8 foot range. But that south wind have a little bit more coming in there. All right. Again, like I say, that's the marine forecast is going to be really negligible if you're trying to get out today, but we'll be coming out of south. Let's take our first break and come back with our special guest this morning. Welcome back, and look at our guest today, Mark Cowart, a familiar face.
Coach, how are you?
Good to see you. And Michael.
How you doing?
Good to see you. Now, you've seen the pictures a lot on the show because they catch so many fish, and of course, Mark has been on a lot with Bill Allen. And I just realized I didn't know it. I thought he'd been on with me before, but you haven't.
Never have. It's my first time with you.
Well, we see each other all the time, and I just assumed you had. All right, let's get started. Michael, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a professional redfish with my dad, and he's my partner. I play football at North Bay Haven, and that's really all I like to do, honestly.
Hey, the fish and play football, that's not bad.
Those are good things to have.
That's a good route. Okay, get your microphone right there. I think get it up a little bit. Okay, so that's fine. Now, Michael, while your dad's getting set up, tell us about, you play quarterback, right?
Yes, sir. I play just about anything on the field. I can play receiver, DB, corner, quarterback, running back, whatever they need me to play, I'm there.
I've heard a lot of good things about you. I have,
yes,
and of course, now fishing there's something else. Fishing, I fished with them before. They're serious fishermen, and Mark, you're one of our sponsors here
yes,
on the Fishing Game Forecast, and then we deeply appreciate that. And you don't believe the people that go by that time.
The time. A lot of people don't really grasp how relative those time forecasts are. Mm-hmm. Those fish. And the animals, the deer, mm-hmm. whatever you're hunting, whatever you're fishing, those fish and animals follow those patterns. It's unbelievable.
It really is, and I get these stories, and I've seen it myself. Sometimes being in a tree stand at 10:30 in the morning, where most people have gotten out, and because that's the time they're going to be feeding, and all of a sudden you see a buck walk across there. I hear these stories all the time. We see it, and then sometimes I never will forget this. Talk about fishing. The biggest trout my son ever caught, about a 6.5 pounder. He caught right in the middle of the day. At Crooked Island Sound, and most times you're not going to catch a huge trout in the middle of the day. Yeah. So
last year a good example of that. Michael and I were fishing the Emerald Coast event that was out of Navarre. Mm-hmm. We ran that 60 miles back into West Bay, mm-hmm. and we ran 180 miles that day. Matter of fact, covered that much water. But in the very middle of the day, we caught our fish tailing in August in about a foot and a half of water.
If that.
Yeah. The water's 85 degrees, middle of the day, but guess what? Yeah. That was the forecast.
And most people are going to be doing something else.
Absolutely.
And they're going to be giving up and go back to the house and get a sandwich or something. Mm-hmm. I was talking before we came on the show, and they're good friends of mine. We just love fishing together when we get a chance. But mm-hmm. Mark and Michael, we talk about different kind of viewers we have. We just have run a whole gamut of viewers. But y'all are a family that actually didn't grow up in this area, but you were able to move down, and I just admire how when y'all moved down, you sort of just you went fishing with Bill, then you just fell in love with it, and
Right.
y'all just taken the ball and ran with it.
Yeah, I'm from Birmingham. Now, Michael is a native Floridian.
Yeah.
But I met Bill in 2000, or late 99, early 2000, and I mean, I was an avid fisherman, grew up fishing. And, if you go on our website, you can read kind of how I talk about it and how I talk about meeting Bill. And, Bill grew up here, and that's all. Bill loves to redfish. And he taught me how to take the knowledge I had for bass and apply it to red fishing, and they are very similar, but a lot of people, there's so many people who move here who pick up fishing as a hobby and think, oh my gosh, how am I going to learn to do this? That's like your show. The number of people that I get phone calls from who see my fishing game times and say, hey, what are you using? How are you doing it? And it's coming from you. And it's interesting.
Well, it just fascinates me too, because I got a recent emails in the last month or so that a retired lawyer moved down to Weewall, and he and his wife want to learn how to fish, and they're gleaning everything they can, and it makes us feel good that we can
Right.
send this knowledge to them. Now, when y'all first got started, y'all were just fishing just right here in the bay, but then y'all have expanded and gone to other places a lot. haven't you?
Right. From a tournament point of view, we started tournament fishing. Michael and I entered a local redfish tournament. They had a junior division, and Michael won that. And then we just kind of started fishing more and more. And before I know it, we had sponsors. We had people calling us. They said, hey, will you fish our stuff? We use our rods. We use our reels. Of course, the attraction of a father-son team.
Well, that's
big.
That's so unique too. On Friday's show, we had a mother-daughter team that went deer hunting and got that big buck and all.
That's
and
great.
now we have a father-son here, and it's so refreshing. Michael, what's it? I know you look forward to every trip with your dad and all. What are some of the fun things you really enjoy when you go out with him?
Obviously, I love going out there in the bay and getting up on top of that tower and seeing a big redfish start tailing, or seeing a school push through the bay. But I mean, it's not just limited to into the bay. We love going offshore trolling, catching kings, stuff like that, little tuna and stuff like that. Just anytime being on the water outdoors is great.
Yeah, that's good. We're gonna take a quick break. Come back. We've got some nice pictures these guys brought. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Sitting here with Mark Coward and son Michael, and we're just tickled to have them on the show. I fish a lot with them, and they can really catch fish. And your website now.
All right, we have a Facebook page which has a lot of information on it, and you can go to my Mark Cowart on my Facebook page, or markcowart.info to get to the website. And on the website is a fishing page, and if you go to that fishing page, you can get to the YouTube channel, our Team Shallowtails fishing page, our fan page for Facebook, and which we're really excited. We've only had Facebook for just 5 or 6 months, and we're approaching 1,200 likes and followers.
That's great.
So that's exciting.
All right, talking about something we like. And Michael, we got a picture. I want you to tell us about this redfish right here. This is a pretty redfish you caught right here. Tell us about it.
Well, we were just about to head back to the weigh-in at the tournament, and we were just going down one last little corner of the bank, just about to head in. And he says, hold on, look at that real quick. And he throws, you had a spoon on, right?
I had a spoon.
He throws his spoon out there, and he got a little hit, and I just thought it was a trout. I didn't think anything of it. And then he hooks up, and his drag starts screaming. He says, throw out there. So I just threw out there in the general area of where he got hit. And then next thing I know, we both have two 32-inch redfish.
Wow.
I think mine was 33, and his was 31 or something like that. I mean,
Okay.
And the school was so big. I mean, once they scattered, they were passing the boat. And then my fish is following in one direction, Michael's fish is following another. And that video is on our YouTube channel.
All right.
Of that. It's really pretty exciting.
That's exciting when they come by the boat. And
Yeah.
And he brought up something, Michael, and we've done this before. In fact, last time you, Bill, and I fished, when somebody hooks one, you throw right out.
Absolutely.
After them. That's a great fishing tip. It really is.
Yeah, these fish are school fish, and they're competitive feeders. You'll get one to the boat, and there's still one following it.
This next picture, was this the same one you're talking about?
Yeah, those fish were brought in at the same time. What's interesting is my fish out of the exact same school, the same spot, hooked within seconds of each other. Mine's a more light-colored fish. Michael's a more darker redfish. And it's odd that those fish, you would think that the color of the water would have affected them, but it wasn't. But it's exciting when we get like that. Several times this year we've hooked up, just doubled at the with big fish.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah. All right, tell us about this next picture here.
that's over in Hogtown Bayou
Ooh,
over in
that is a pretty redfish.
That's a slob.
over in Choctawhatchee, and it was actually our first time trying to fish this like certain spot, and we've been hearing about it, and we were just throwing out, and all of a sudden I just had one load up on it, and there was these guys about 50 yards to our left using huge live baits. I mean, huge. I don't know. What were they?
They were throwing a big menhaden, 8-9 inch menhaden.
No kidding.
Yeah,
that
I mean big bait fish, and we were using artificial baits like we always use, and they were shocked that they were saying we're not going to catch one.
Yeah, there's no
artificial.
way you're going to catch anything.
Oh, y'all were talking back and forth?
Oh, yeah.
And then within 5 minutes later, I had that big redfish on.
It was the biggest fish of the day caught right there.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Now, they were doing live bait.
They were live baiting. We're throwing artificial. And we do that a lot. People will go, oh, y'all can't catch anything today. You got to have live. People don't. It's so much more fun to catch these fish on artificial.
Yeah. And don't let that discourage you, too, when you see a lot of people live bait, because this is a great example right here where you can come in with artificial bait.
And you have to match what they're hitting.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're close, these fish, we use ProCure to scent it, so therefore it smells like it's supposed to smell, and it looks like it's supposed to look.
Mm-hmm. And I love the spot on this one, too. It just looks like this is a classic redfish right here. Real nice one.
Beautiful.
Okay. All right, we'll go to the next one over here.
Now that's another big redfish caught right here in West Bay. I caught several that day. I had taken Andy DeRamo.
Yeah.
His dad had attended our inshore clinic.
I remember that.
And they had won a certificate to fish with us, and so I took he and a friend of his. I unfortunately can't remember his friend, but they both caught good redfish that day, and they were so disappointed when they got on the boat there wasn't live bait, and they caught them on spoons and topwater and Z-Man paddlers, and they had never caught, neither one of them had ever caught a redfish on artificial.
No kidding.
No kidding.
All right. So that's a pretty one right there, and then we'll have one more picture here. This is all the boat.
Yeah, that's at a tournament at the beginning of the summer. That was at East Bay at the park there, and we finished I think third or fourth. That's just under 11 pounds of fish, like 10.8 or 10.9, and that was a real good day. And what happens a lot of times, I mean, the fish that we catch, we can't bring them in because they're oversized.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, it just kills you.
We're talking about fishing tournaments and all. Y'all fish a lot of tournaments. Do y'all ever get a chance to pre-fish, or y'all just?
Typically, I do. Michael will be in school most of the time, and I'll grab Bill or I'll go out by myself. And of course, I call Justin Leake or I'll call Matt Smith and say, hey, and they're so good, they'll stay away from those spots that day before. They're going to give me a tip. The other day, and Matt will call me. He hadn't been in the bay a couple of weeks ago. Matt, maybe a month ago. Matt said, "Hey, have you been out? I've been offshore. I got to take a guy inshore." And I told him right where I've been catching fish.
Good.
And that's the great thing. The Panhandle community is so strong, and the guys that are on Team Panhandle Outdoors, like Michael and I, and Matt Smith, and Justin Leake, and Bill Allen, and Mayor Greg Bernicki, all of us work. You have a question, please call.
Yeah.
We will help. And because the stronger we make this fishery, the more fishermen we have fishing, the stronger we are.
You're exactly right, and we talk about maybe the tournament might be taking a different shape next year as far as Emerald Coast and all.
Right. Now the Emerald Coast Redfish Club started several years ago, and it's got 60, 70 members. Typically, we'll only have 15 to 20 boats some days fish, some days more. I think the biggest event we've had 30 boats in it about a year and a half ago, and then sometimes it was only 9 or 10 depending on the weather. The weather's bad, the guys aren't going to come out. It's been evolving this year, and now it's the Emerald Coast Redfish Pro Circuit, and the several different redfish tours have approached these guys, and the president and the vice president, King Cube and Mike Pattison, and about joining the Florida Pro Redfish Series out of South Florida, which is a strong group. They'll have 50, 60 boats fish. Matter of fact, the last 2 years they brought their tour championship up here, and the money's good. I mean, $2,500, $5,000 first place, and that's enough to get a guide to come out and fish for a tournament. And we're really excited about it and hope that works out. For us and our sponsors, they want our boat, they want our jerseys, they want our product in front of people. That's what it's about for them, and for us, we're having a blast, and for them, it's about exposure.
Yeah. All right, Michael, let me ask you this now. We're getting ready to do some winter fishing. We've got Christmas holidays coming up. You think you'll be able to fish in during Christmas holidays?
I'll probably be fishing every day except for Christmas morning.
we may be fishing Christmas afternoon, though.
That's true.
All right, listen, let me ask you on your winter pattern. What do you do different in the winter, Michael, than you do in the summertime?
Well, you got to think everything if you're out, you know, if you're out on a nice summer day, you're gonna be more active. But if it's cold, you're not gonna want to be outside or just running around. So you gotta slow down your approach on everything because these fish are cold. They don't really feel like chasing after a topwater bait that's moving faster, stuff like that. They would want to do in the summertime. So you want to go slow, and I mean, topwater is usually out of the question most of the time. But you know, just slow on the bottom versus spinning baits. Just slow is key.
You know, we last winter I was on the show with Bill after we'd had a great day fishing, and we talked about a day that we had, and in the seminar we had about 50, 60 people at the one at Legendary Marine, and I talked about the transitional periods.
Yep.
And you know, I have more people have called that didn't attend that and asked for that map that showed the summer pattern, winter pattern transition. Well, as these fish are now transitioning into the winter pattern, they're getting away from white sand, which reflects heat, going to dark mud, black mud, to the mud bottoms that hold heat.
Good point.
And you know, it's just like Michael said, it's summertime. You don't really, you know, we don't want to be out sweating and everything, but exactly the same thing for those fish. They want to get where the coolest water is. In the winter, they want the warmest water. And I put a video on our YouTube page yesterday. You can go to Mark Cowart. I'm sorry, on the Facebook page, Mark Cowart, and there's a great video about winter red fishing.
Good.
And I brought some baits that I can show you in a little bit and talk about how we use those.
Okay. All right, let's take our last break, and we'll be back and look at these baits right here. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us this morning. Great way to start the week right here with Mark and Michael Cowart talking about a lot about fishing. On Friday's show, we talked a lot about hunting. So this is what we're doing outdoors.
That's exactly right.
Let's take a look at our fishing game forecast brought to us by none other Mark Cowart of Edgewater Beach Realty. Mark's number is 832-6000. Michael, I'm going to let you tell us our times today.
We have from 6:20 a.m. to 8:20 a.m. and from 6:42 p.m. to 8:42 p.m. That's when you're going to be there.
All right, so you don't have to skip school today. You can just go. you can just go without it. All right, we're talking about now. We've talked about patterns, everything. We're going to actually talk about the baits themselves. I know you're a Z-Man guy, both of y'all. So.
We are. Z-Man is we're on Z-Man's pro staff, and it was a happenstance. Real quickly, Michael and I got on their pro staff from this television show. It's a long story. I'm not going to get into it now, but believe it or not, we kind of found each other from Panhandle Outdoors, and here they are in South Carolina.
That's cool.
But it led to a couple of phone calls that tied it together. It was really an amazing story. But anyway, in the winter, what we do is, and like I say, you can go on my Facebook page and see a video that was on Winston's show last winter talking about the winter pattern. It's a really good video, and it talks about where and when to fish. But again, as we're going back to the winter times, this black bottoms, the back ends, kind of getting in that more shallow, secluded water away from the boat traffic. And we've been using the Z-Man bait. Z-Man makes a tremendous bait that won't tear, but they're scented with Procure, which smells to these fish like live bait. But they get to these black bottoms, and in the winter we start using dark baits because it matches these sandworms, I call them mudworms, and they're eating those things, man.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
And Michael, you know, we brought some. Michael's going to rig a couple up and explain them to y'all.
All right, Michael.
We'll start off with the shrimp, and like I'll demonstrate here. I mean, grab that in right there. I mean,
you can't tear this bait.
Look at that.
It won't tear. You can catch 8, 9, 10 fish on one bait.
Pinfish won't tear it up while you're trying to fish.
Explain to them the tail, how that tail works. It's really neat.
On the back of this, bait, the tail is a little bit thicker in the middle, so you can rig it up both ways, backwards and forwards. Okay, so like if you're using a jig head, which obviously isn't weedless, you would rig it up through the front. But if you're using one of these weighted worm hooks, a little difficult to slide over there sometimes.
Okay, and it'll slide over that. And what's really neat, it'll slide over it and not tear the bait apart.
Yeah.
It just goes right back to the right size.
And then you bring it back, and that is weedless. And there's your shrimp.
And it swims backwards, hops backwards, and that's a perfect color. Now that color is, Michael, which one is that?
That's the red bone.
The red bone. Now the red bone is a great color because it's got red and green, which redfish, anything with some red in it, redfish love that red color.
And whenever you pause this thing, it's going to sink down just
level. It sets just like it would, like a shrimp on the bottom. And
and it's weedless too.
Absolutely weedless.
Yeah.
And then the next one, we have these jerk shads. And this is the new penny color. And you would rig this just like you would a normal.
Yeah, you could Texas rig this just like you're going to rig except we use these weighted worm hooks or swim bait hooks or rigging hooks, depends on where you're from, depending on what you call it. And it's just, you just skin pinch it, and it is just like you've rigged a plastic worm. That bait is deadly in the winter. That, the shrimp, and the paddlers that Z-Man has are just absolute deadly winter baits. And you just fish them low and slow. You fish it just like you're fishing a worm, just hopping it, and you're just looking for that telltale strike. They don't hit it like they do in the summer. They hit it and go, because they're going along grazing and feeding. And they'll pick it up. You just feel that pressure, and you just set the hook.
And then next off, we're going to have the paddlers on the Houdini color. And you can rig these with a jig head too, but we often rig them with these weighted worm hooks. And you'll rig it the same way as the jerk shads. And you're going to just use a 3/0 hook for these because the segment and body that it has. So if you had a bigger hook, it would get to these segments right here and it wouldn't be able to swim.
That bait really swims hard, man. It really swims hard.
It's jointed right there too. I mean, pull out how strong it is. That's amazing. How,
Watch this.
That's where you normally
look at that.
You don't normally.
It won't hurt. It's a dog off. But Z-Man's a great product. You can buy them at your local tackle stores, and it's a great value because they're not going to tear. You're going to fish them all day.
It's only $4 for a pack.
Yes,
and like,
$4 or $5 for a pack, and it's like buying 3 packs of something else.
Yeah. So you just get a couple of these, you can fish all day with it.
You can fish them all weeks.
All week.
It's a great thing. I tell you, it's a great time to be fishing. Just because it gets cold, don't not go fishing because they're out there and they're biting.
We've been talking about, a lot of folks go in the woods and all. I try to do both. I try to go to the woods and on the water. But winter fishing is excellent in the bay. We're talking about surf fishing, but this is great bay fishing right here. And I know y'all going to be doing something during holidays.
Absolutely. It's some of the best trout fishing of the years coming up.
It is.
And we're looking forward to going back down to Apalachicola with you and Bill.
We're going to be doing that, I promise y'all.
That's fun.
Well, Michael, you got to go to school today?
Unfortunately.
I do too. But I'm not.
I may go fishing.
Don't sound right, does it? Thanks for coming on, buddy.
All right, thank you.
Coach, it's an honor.
Always great to have y'all on the show. Listen, check out their Facebook page and also your website.
Right.
And check out these guys. They catch fish every time they go. They're good fishermen, and you can learn from people like this. As always, we want to tell you how much we appreciate you watching Panhandle Outdoors. Hope God blesses you with a great day today. You do good at work and do something good for someone else, and God bless.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.